Katja, you see here is Global Digest Think Tank Group. So today you are our guest, and why don't you briefly introduce yourself and what is your company and what is your specialty, or if you have any products, please.
Yes. Well, hello everyone. My name is Katja Wiklund and I'm from Finland. I'm 40 years old and I'm a business owner. And I have been studying all my life because I love studying. So I've been in Master of Businesses Administration, so MBA, and also in engineering. I'm counting emissions. So if you are buying some, if you have a factory and you are producing things, so I am counting how much emissions the factory is producing.
You
Yeah.
mean carbon emission?
Yes. Yes.
Let's see. So are you really good for counting carbon emission?
I don't know if I'm good, but I love counting.
I see. So
Well, if we take one product example, a car. So I'm counting when they are building the car, where they are buying all the steel and all the mechanics on and everything what they need, and then
right.
when they are selling the car and the owner is using it, and then after, well, say in 15 years, if the you can't use the car anymore, so you have to put it in the little pieces. So I'm counting what you can still use and what you can't use. And then when you add all those, so you get the answer how much emissions the car is using
I
in
see.
its all lifetime.
Right. What is the number of emission per car?
I have a BMW, so it's a small car. When you are driving, so for the lifetime, it's using 180 or 250 grams of emissions per 1 kilometer. So that's not, if I'm driving 300,000 kilometers with my BMW, so then it's saying 54,000 kilos. I don't know if that's correct, but it's showing like that.
I mean, 54,000 kilo and carbon emissions.
Yeah, they can use 1 kilo emissions for, I believe it's 600 euros or something like that.
I see. So you bought a car, BMW, and how many years you use it already? Your own car, how many years did you use?
Five, five. My
Five
my own
years.
is five. Yeah.
You use 5 years.
Now it's 19,500 kilos that I've been using carbon emissions.
Let's see.
But still, because if I have the 117,000 in my meter now, so if I'm counting when it's 300,000, and then I have to, well, I'm selling it away before that, but if it's the engine, it doesn't work anymore after 300 kilometers, and the lifetime is ending. So when the lifetime ends, so it will be 54,000 kilos of carbon emissions.
Let's see.
Yeah, but I'm driving a lot because I'm driving almost every day. And Finland is very big country, so we
Right.
have to travel a lot.
I'm totally lost about calculating carbon emission. You know how to calculate, and uh, maybe also it's depend on size, big car and small car. Isn't that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's small and it doesn't use so much
Will be less,
energy when I'm driving. Yeah.
small will be less carbon emission.
Yeah.
If you drive like a truck or big one will be a lot of carbon emission, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think if you use public transportation, we are not producing carbon emission, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know that in here in Finland, so we are the people that are using the most of per people we are using most carbon emissions because we have to drive so we don't we have to drive every day to work and we don't have this kind of big cities. We have Helsinki. Yeah, Helsinki is big, but it's still small if you are comparing it in Asian cities.
So how
So
many population in Helsinki? Helsinki,
in Finland we have 5 million.
I mean Helsinki city.
In Helsinki city is, I believe it's 1.5 million.
I see. It's not that big, right?
No, no, but it's the biggest one here.
Right.
Yeah,
Because Finland, your is cold place, so not people can easily survive. You need
yeah,
you need a good house, you need a good heater, a good electricity, a lot of facility required. But in Southern Europe or tropical area, you can easily build an easy house. You can just survive. That's different. But in northern cold area, polar area, uh, you cannot just live like that. You need a lot of protection, right?
yeah, and that's one reason why we are using so much carbon emissions because we need to build everything so that it keeps the cold away.
Right. I mean, also each house also produce carbon emission, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of gas, electricity,
Well,
and
yeah, and
cooking.
how to keep the houses warm because otherwise it's going to be too cold, so we have to use a lot of power. So we have in Finland we are using the most nuclear power in here. We also have wind power and solar power, but most energy comes from the nuclear factories. No, in Finland, yeah, we have a quite of lot of electric cars. Well, but it's only nearby cities because then when you are going in the Lapland, in the near North Pole and North Pole, so then they have so long roads that they need to drive in the very cold weather. So it's not possible to use electric cars in those conditions.
Definitely, it's
Yeah.
require big amount of petrol to
Yeah,
to
petrol and diesel.
right to continuously run the car. Otherwise,
Yeah.
electric will stop in the middle. it
Yeah,
will
it is. It
it will
is.
be very disturbing, and your journey cannot be successful. If you use electric car. So I
Yeah.
think for a long journey, you still need to use petrol car. I think that is really. How do you see electric car produce carbon emission or not really produce carbon emission?
When electric cars are using carbon emissions when they are building
I
cars.
see. I see.
Yeah. And the batteries. So the batteries is a little bit problem because they are using a lot of minerals or those things that we
Right.
don't have a lot. So that's one problem. But when they are driving and using an electric car, so it's not using as much as diesel and benzene.
So to produce one electric car, how many carbon emission come out?
Yeah, that I don't know. I haven't been counting that how much one electric car is using, but it's a lot, and it's not just emissions; it's also what they are using in the batteries. So that's a little bit problem.
That I mean, during factory of electric car, you pointed out a lot of carbon emission produced, and after finish electric car, when the customer buy it and driving electric car, at the time it still produce carbon emission or it's normal carbon emission?
Yeah, it's producing still carbon emissions because you need to use electricity, and electricity
Right.
is always, it doesn't matter if it's wind power or solar power or nuclear power, so it's always using a little. Yeah,
This
it's never going to be zero, so it's always going to be something.
I see. It still come out carbon emission, either electric car. The amount of carbon emission can be different, right?
Yeah, yeah. I did
Maybe
find they are here. They are counting that the one electric car, when you are building it, it's using to 6,000 to 8,000 kilos of carbon emissions.
I see.
When you are producing the car, and then when you are driving it, it's using 0 to 150 grams per kilometer. When you are driving, it depends how you are, what kind of electricity you are using.
The one you said 160 kilogram.
Yeah. For my diesel BMW, it was 150 to 200 grams per kilometer when I'm driving, and with electricity car it's 0 to 150 gram per kilometer.
Less than petrol car, right?
Yeah,
Petrol
yeah,
car is almost 200.
it's almost half. It's almost half from what my diesel car is using.
Let's see. So electric car still produce the carbon emission, but not that much like petrol car. Half of
Yeah,
petrol car, right?
yeah. And then when they are using the emissions you are using in the nuclear uh, power plants or wind power or solar power, so they are not using when they are driving it. So the air will be much cleaner when you are driving with electric cars than when you are driving with these diesel or petrol cars. So they are always, it's you can smell it.
Right, right. The
Yeah,
smell we can get smell if you have a petrol car. You
yeah.
can get smell, but in terms of electric vehicle, we don't get smell.
No.
But it's invisible carbon emission are
It's
there.
yeah. So that's much healthier in big cities.
Definitely, it's a
Yeah.
half, even less, one third or half, or it's much better.
Best thing for the world is if countries would invest in trains and buses and underground. So those are the best always.
Public transportation.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, not having individual car. Instead, we use common use buses, subway, train. It will be much less carbon emission, because if you use each one have their own car, mean increasing carbon emission, you know. So
yeah,
everybody use the same one together. I mean, you can imagine 100 people use the same bus instead of having 100 buses. So it
yeah,
can 10 times, 50, 100 times carbon emission will come out, you know.
yeah. So to change the world, so the countries, they would need to invest in public transportation. So that's the best way for all of us.
Right. Like Singapore, because they don't have big space, the small city, so they are mostly using public transportation, buses and subway. But in case of Russia or maybe Finland, you have big, huge territory, you know.
Yeah,
So
we have.
they can use they have big space, so everybody want to use their own car. Singapore case, government make limitation because no space. But
Yeah,
maybe your side or Russia case, big territory, that may be difficult to government impose people not to use private car or less using private car, because they say we have big space. We want to fill up all this big territory, you know. I think the people can see like that, you know.
yeah, yeah. And here in Finland, so we have a lot of trains, but it's very expensive to use those. I
Really?
was just last week. I was thinking to go to take a vacation in Lapland. So I was checking the train at that how much it would be if I would take a train from here from south to the north side of Finland. So it was trip to the north to the Rovaniemi and down here. So 370 euros for train tickets.
I see.
Yeah,
And if you go by your own car, how much it will cost?
about well my with 100 euros I can drive 1,000 kilometers. So it would be 200 euros.
I see.
If
So
I would
it's
count it, it would be 1,000 kilometers because we have a very big country. So
right, right.
it's a long country. So if it would be 1,000 kilometers from here from south to the north, so that would be 100 euros.
Right. Your train is expensive, right? It's
Yeah,
same,
more
even more than your own private
own car. Yeah,
driving, you know? So
yeah,
it is a very a little bit risk for public to use common public transportation, train or buses. I think why it's more expensive. Government should, I think, reduce, you know, the price, and
yeah.
it should be cheaper than the private owned car. So they are doing a lot of profit by train company or the
Yes,
business.
they are trying to do a lot of profit. So that's not the correct way for the government to make profit, because it's still then our children and all world is paying from those profits.
I see. So you should ask your government. The price is so expensive,
Yeah,
to reduce the
yeah,
price, and that is part of climate change, environmental issue, to encourage people
yeah,
to
it
use
is.
come on public transportation in order to avoid carbon emissions, a big amount of
Yes.
carbon emission. And what about your own house? How many carbon emission produced a day or a month, or do you know how did you ever
No, I
calculate that?
I haven't been counting that, but I'm using, well, it's from Fortum, so it's nuclear power. I'm keeping this house warm with nuclear power, and at summertime, so it's also mixed with sun power.
I see.
But I don't know how much. I'm probably a lot more than you in there.
You can try at least one time. You should calculate, one day how many carbon emission come out, for 1 month how many carbon can emission come out in your own house. That will be good to know information. We plant a tree, so one tree, uh, like that, very big and very tall tree, how many carbon emission they can cover for
Yeah,
by one tree.
tree one. It says one tree can take carbon emissions to 10 to 20 kilos per year. So if the tree is living 100 years, so it would be 2,000 kilos.
How
And
big?
so
How
you
big?
have to when you are building an electric car, so it was 6,000 kilos when they are building the car. So you would need to plant three trees to make zero about the emissions.
I mean, how big tree and how tall the tree?
Um, it probably depends because then when they are growing, so they are taking more emissions. But then when the tree is old, so it can't clean that much air.
I see.
So it's better with when the trees are growing.
Younger one is better.
Yeah.
I see.